Good morning, Jorge, Javier,
Hey,
gentlemen. Good to
Hi,
see you.
how are you?
Good. I got about 3 hours of sleep, but I am caffeinated like you wouldn't believe.
I don't know if that's good or bad, but I like the enthusiasm.
Yeah, no. My words per minute on the keyboard is like they're about 25% over what they normally are. I'm flying. The issue is, and actually, like somewhat sadly, my wife points this out with some regularity, is that my accuracy of hitting the right keys doesn't necessarily equate to a faster words per minute. So I have to say, for those of you who are married, you realize what I'm talking about the value of a spouse in that way, helping keep you grounded. So, nice. Good. For some of the newcomers this week, you will unfortunately quickly learn that for the first few minutes while we wait for people to join, I'm sadly the comic relief. So you'll have to humor me like you do a professor and just sort of chuckle anyway. But this is good, man. I'm Jorge. I'm super excited to see you here, and
Thank you.
we're gonna get
Excited. Excited to be here.
we're gonna get everybody introduced at some point. I know there's gonna be a few others that are trickling in, and then I would be quite remiss if I didn't express how tickled I am to see Javier here as well. Javier, is it's about 5 o'clock your time?
exactly, yes.
Okay, all right, very good. Very good. Good. Well, while we're waiting for folks to come through, I'm going to post a link to the meeting minutes in the chat here in Hangouts, or in Meet, I guess is what it's called. And as each of you pull up the meeting minutes, please take a moment, if you would, go ahead and add your name to the attendees list. If you don't have access, I think you all should, but if you don't be shy. Make sure you request access. The meeting minutes themselves are community taken, so do what you will as we go through here. Please take any notes that you want to, and I will say if you don't take some notes, I'm likely to miss some things. So very good. And then Garish, can you help me not slaughter Mr. Doss's first name? Who just joined? Garish, are you there?
Yeah, hey, I'm sorry, I'm here, but his first name is Bible.
Oh man, come on. That's not funny. I'm gonna.
I mean, yeah, his first name is Bible Das. I mean, that's his full name. So yeah, it's Bible.
Bye.
Yeah, hello, sir.
Hey.
I can hear you. Yes, sir.
Oh, great to see you. I am apologizing in advance. You've got a beautiful first name, and my American tongue is gonna have a hard time.
It's okay, sir. It's okay.
You don't happen to go by Das, do you? Because I gotta say that's a lot easier.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay, well, don't let me be rude, but very good, man. Very pleased to see you here, and thanks to Anand and Subham and Madhav for being good stewards of the community. Maybe we'll see Nupur join as well. So we'll see. We're 5 after, so actually it's we're ready to get rolling. For those that just joined, the meeting minutes link is in your invite, but it's also in the chat. Since we've got a couple of fresh faces today, it would serve us well to take a moment to get to know one another a little bit. Actually, we've got enough fresh faces. I think that maybe I'll start just because that might help a little bit. So just, hey, my name's Lee. Garish and myself had gone around giving a lot of workshops on service meshes and had gotten many questions about what service meshes are and how they work and which one people should use and what the performance overhead of them is and how to onboard their applications, and just question after question after question. Garish and myself and others that have joined have a history of writing management software, or writing software that helps people run infrastructure and run applications better. Seeing the need around Istio in specific, but the other service meshes as well, and seeing the power of the network, we set off to create this project called Meshery. And so that's me. So I'm here taking notes. But Sako, actually, since you're off mute, do you want to introduce real quick?
Hey guys, I'm Sako. I'm doing right now Google Summer of Code. Super excited to work with Leap and creation growing community. And that's briefly, and I can introduce myself shortly. I'm doing my master in ITU here in San Jose, based in California, and at the same time I am in DevOps team in OpenGov, mainly focusing on the security part of the project. And previously I was at Nginx working for the similar project to Istio, Engine Mesh, which was aiming to replace the Envoy with Nginx as alternate solution. That's where I get to know about Lee, and once I learned about the project, that was the next thing to join. Happy to be part of it. Thank you.
Nice, very good. I popped a link for everybody into the chat about Google Summer of Code and how Meshery's participating there. So nice. Just going down the list. Harshini. Good morning. Harshini, you're at Lumina now, right? Working on the NSM adapter. Do you want to give a quick introduction?
I was working on the NSM adapter for Meshery. So it is basically not a sorry, you able to hear me?
No, that's perfect. Yeah, and so just to help characterize that a little bit, Harshini's been in this community for some time. Actually, you'll find her name on some of the documentation, some of the Octarine adapter, which is Octarine's a type of service mesh. But kind of full-time focus for Harshini is at Lumina Networks, and part of what she does at Lumina Networks is assist or is contribute to the network service mesh project. We've been fortunate to have the network service mesh maintainers, including Harshini, join. I'm gonna put a link to the network service mesh that so that you guys can all learn about it a little bit. It's a CNCF sandbox project, and so since it's one of many service meshes out there, Harshini has been creating a Meshery adapter that connects up to network service mesh and helps the two speak to one another. And so she's got what's really probably like an alpha phase adapter, but you'll tell us more about that a little bit later too, Harshini, so that's great. And then Javier, if you want to.
Sorry. I am just a software engineer that works on many highly scalable microservices, and I just discovered all the world of cloud native in that past cloud native conference, and I got really interested in service mesh. So I decided to join this project to get started and contribute as well.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Javier will be shy about it, but guaranteed has the deepest knowledge of Windows on this call. Just has a long career in, as a matter of fact, a former Microsoft employee as well. So, yeah, awesome. I'm pumped. Javier's here. That's good. Subham?
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yep.
Sorry, I missed the last minute. Can you?
Yeah, if you can, just give a brief introduction about yourself.
Yeah. I'm Kumar. I'm from India, Jaipur. Came here and currently I'm fourth year. Yes, that's
Oh, very good. And then for those who might not have heard all of what Subham had just said, I'm going to give you yet another link in the chat to kind of a relationship and a program that we have with a university in Jaipur, the University of Engineering and Management. And so there's a few students who are attending that university and are on the call today, and Subham has been here for a while. And so Madhav, do you want to introduce as well?
Yeah, Ali. So, hello everyone. My name is Madhav Paul. I am from India. Currently, I am studying engineering from University of Engineering and Management and in computer science engineering. So, thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Very good. Nuno just joined. Nuno, we're introducing a couple of new community members today. So actually, if you want to take assuming that you're on the train and can speak, if you want to give a quick introduction about yourself.
Okay, so hi everyone, and no, today I'm at work still, so but I will quickly speak. It's okay. Hi everyone. So my name is Nuno do Carmo. I'm actually calling from Switzerland, and I'm let's say a user and a blogger. So here I'm more helping Meshery, or Meshery is helping me understanding service meshes first of all, and then I'm helping Meshery to from a user perspective, actually, how to use Meshery, install it, and of course, because I like things complicated, it's how to install them on WSL too, in this case. So if you have any questions about that, I saw that, okay, I'm very late on the blog, the remaining blog, but I saw like the blog, at least the WSL2 and K3S is maybe coming out soon. So that will be, you will understand what I'm doing behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And Nuno, you might have joined just after Javier introduced, but Javier's got a fair bit of Windows background as well. So actually, Javier, have you dipped into, was it the Windows subsystem for Linux, WSL?
Yes, what's up? Yes.
Oh, nice. Very good. Okay. Anyway, I'm just making the connection between you and Nuno.
Perfect.
Yeah. Very good. Nuno had been has demoed in the past Meshery running on WSL too. So, also, little known fact about Nuno: it's a fact he is the funniest individual on this call right now. So, we will. There's no pressure, Nuno.
Yeah, I see that. I see that. But yeah, I just have private jokes, and Girish knows best my IP list. So
Yeah.
that's good.
Nice. Oh, awesome. Very good. And then Mr. Das, if you want to introduce.
Yeah, my name is Babu Das. I'm calling from India. I'm friends with Shubham Kumar Rai and Madhav Paul. So I also study in University of Engineering and Management, Jaipur. I'm pursuing computer science and BTech.
Nice. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. First timer. Subham, unfortunately, all of your audio is garbled, and I don't know that anyone was able to hear what you said, although I suspect it was very nice things about Babav or Das. So sorry, but feel free to chat it into the call, into Hangouts. Nikhil, you're up.
The book, pursuing today's science and tech. I use the Meshery. It's a great time since last week. So that's all.
Yeah, fantastic. Nikhil's audio was garbled a little bit at the front, but no doubt he had said he's also a student at UEM Jaipur and part of classmates with a couple of the other folks on the call. Nikhil just recently joined like last week, but already has landed a couple of PRs, and so that's good. We're off to the races. Lastly, Girish.
Yeah, hey, like we already gave an introduction to me. We have been working for some time on developing some interesting management softwares. And very recently, service meshes after Kubernetes has been a very interesting area for us because of all the goodies it brings. Of course, it comes with a whole lot of challenges. So we presented, Istio at several popular conferences, and again, the questions that kept coming back to us from the community, during the presentations, is kind of what motivated the creation of Layer 5 and Meshery. So that's the reason why we are here. So I really hope everybody who is here in the call and all the other community members are able to contribute to Meshery and also derive some very good value from it. So that's me.
Awesome, very good. You know what? Actually, Girish, seeing your shirt, all I need is like a quarter inch. It's a Docker shirt. I knew it. Yeah. Okay. Very good. I think we almost might have to start like a Friday nerd shirt ritual. Let's see who. I feel
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, I know. I feel like a bit of the devil in disguise like this, wearing the AWS shirt. So it's not. Okay, very good. All right. Well, now that we've spent 20 minutes building community, good. Hopefully that helps everyone get an understanding of some of the areas of focus that different folks have. Also, some of the goals that Girish, myself, and other maintainers and folks that have been around for a while have here, and that is, well, if it isn't obvious by spending 20 minutes talking about community, like that's a big point of this and a big part of that is that I'll speak for myself and say I'm a lifelong learner and get bored quickly, maybe, or again, I'll bring up my wife. She'll tell you that maybe that's my ADD. I don't know, but It seems to have at least served me well, and I hope that it does for each of you as well. Truly, if you're not learning something in your time here, then let's have a private conversation, or like, let's make sure that you are. But let's also make sure that you're able to contribute something, not so much selfishly for the project, but because I truly believe that the reinforcement of that learning will be through that contribution, or will be through that feedback that you get, and which might be sometimes uncomfortable, hopefully not, but just the feedback that you get that's saying, these things need to be changed, or what have you. So as we go through the project and as you find an area of focus, I encourage you to actively seek out that area that most interests you, and as I was saying, like, chase your passions. So good. Over time, we've been, the number of people that have been joining has been growing, and this is excellent. At some point, we'll begin to, I'm going to go ahead and share the meeting minutes now. But at some point, what we will hopefully begin to do is ask that folks sort of sign up in advance of the call for things that they would like to demo, that people are reserving time, because since we only have an hour, and as most of you are engaged in the project and are have things to show and demo, that probably that's what this call becomes, is a place to show off your wares or your works. As a matter of fact, we were going to have Kieran on today. He sends regrets. He has a brew formula demo to give us, where he's created a brew formula for Meshery CTL. For those that don't know, Meshery CTL is a CLI equivalent for Meshery as to kubectl is to Kubernetes. So if you haven't interfaced with kubectl yet, you will. All right, so as we move forth, just one, well, I guess two things. As for anyone who comes to engage, if you're enjoying it, encourage others to come as well. As you're enjoying it, star the GitHub repos. We are in need of stars. For whatever reason, those are the canonical, kind of the standard unit of measure for how well a project is doing, and so your stars are most welcomed and encouraged, and if we have to, we'll bribe you for the star. So, okay, one community update here is that so I had a discussion. So Istio is clearly one of the service meshes that Meshery focuses on. Arguably, well, not arguably, like factually, it's the most powerful service mesh. It's also the most complex. It's the one that actually calls for Meshery the most. It's the one that calls for management software the most of any of them. So we've been engaged with Istio for quite some time, and Istio has various working groups. It's a large project. It's arguably larger than Kubernetes, but that discussion is for another time. I did speak with the working group team lead for their performance and scale working group, whom we had been long engaged with, and he was signaling this week that they're earnestly ready to come over and assist in running at scale performance tests using Meshery. And really, that's the point of those tests. They already do a lot of at scale tests today, but there's an inherent conflict of interest when the project maintainer, in this case Google of Istio, and Google isn't the only maintainer of Istio, but just as one of the prominent maintainers, if they're producing test results and they're going to do a comparison to other service meshes, that really needs to come from a third party, an independent source. And in this case, they very much so want for that to be Meshery. So that's great news. For those that have been around for a while, you're aware that we've secured, I'm going to scroll down the page and kind of skip to issue number 115. You're aware that we've secured some time on the CNCF's cluster for about 20 nodes. so we can run some at-scale tests. And so that's good news. That is also great news because for those of you who know Pratik, and as a matter of fact, Garish, can you hammer on Pratik and ask him why he's not here? Because I know his internship is over. We were talking at 1 a.m. last night. He was going to come.
Gotcha. Sounds good. I will.
Okay. I use hammer in like the gentlest of terms, ways. So.
Okay.
Anyway, that's great news, guys. So that's good. I think that trying to think about how to best use the next portion of our time together. There have been some recent enhancements, and actually I'm around user experience, and so I'm kind of thinking of Nuno here, and a bit of Javier and Jorge and Das as you guys come to get familiar with the app itself, Meshery. And so actually I consider like probably a quick demo of Meshery, particularly of those new user interfaces, might be warranted. I think it will help familiarize folks with the project, and it'll give you an opportunity to interject and ask some questions about various areas and things to come in those areas, places for you to opportunistically signal that you're interested in or want to learn more about. Does anyone have a better suggestion? Or before we do that, does anyone have something that they've completed since last time we met or since last time that you were here that you'd like to go ahead and demo and get some feedback on? We should probably start with that. So I know a number of you have landed pull requests and they've been merged, not all of which necessarily, need a demo per se. But anybody want to signal there? Sako, I actually think some of your work, maybe you don't want to demo today, but I know many people haven't seen it on WRK2. And
yeah, sure. I can briefly talk about it.
Okay. All right.
About the progress we did this week. So basically, there is a tool, if you are aware, the WRK2 performance tool for basically it measures how many requests you have done, what was the request per second, and some percentile statistics, and etc. So currently in Meshery, we are using Fortio for this, which is we are pulling the chart and then pushing to the UI side. And we were discovering the WRK2 option and then how to make the future parity check that getting similar statistics from the Fortio, because currently it's giving slightly different metrics. So, and there was extension to use it via the Lua script to extend a bit some of the things we need to do. And the challenges we have right now, some of them are not even possible with the Lua, so we need to contribute basically also to the WRK2 project itself, thanks to Tilo, thanks to Lee also arranging to meet Tilo, which was super helpful to jump to the call and help us to get a bit better understanding about WRK2. And so current state that I'm gonna take from that before the Meshery to contribute WRK2, which is written in C, and enable via Lua scripting to get the data we need once in JSON format. And once it's done, the next step gonna be in the backend enable, because it's not running as itself standalone server. We're gonna run it inside the Meshery container, which will be from the command line that we can make it part of the container, the Meshery container, and then is changing the command line arguments, get the statistic, and then push in JSON format to the front end, and then show it in a chart there, and then we can make the comparison with the similar to ForthComing. Yeah, that's a brief update. I'm not sure how much clear was it. If you have any questions, I can take now, or we can talk after. Yeah. Hello?
Yep. No, that was good. I'm
Yeah,
just waiting for some questions. Actually, I think I suspect folks are being shy. But please ask the questions. Like, it's a good time to. Well, why are we supporting a second load generator? Why would we already have Forteo? So, but and I think you said it. I'm just saying, hey, I would expect people to ask that question.
Sure. Actually, it's a good question. I can take that one too. So basically, WRT is most widely used currently in the industry, and even in previous project Energy Mesh, we were using it for performance measuring. It has a couple interesting features and more folks, and basically there is Apache Bean and stuff. What was the name? But the most successful one, WRK2, and then ForthComing come up once by the Istio folks, they come. So, but still, yeah, the thing is, it's still one of the main used one in the industry. So we want to have the same experience that people wants as the next move to Meshery to enable it for them. And the good thing that currently there is no GUI for the WRK2, it's only command line. So in Meshery we will enable to see visualizing GUI. That could be another interesting thing to look at it.
Who's got questions before we move on about the load generator integration?
And also we have for 2 recordings, I guess, one with Tilo and in Meshery YouTube channel, in case you're interested.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, actually, Sako, do you want to add the links to those channels in the meeting minutes?
Yeah, sure. I will add.
Okay, very good. All right. So considering the number of fresh faces, I was saying, hey, maybe a demo, particularly of some of the later UX enhancements might be beneficial. But before I do it, I'll ask again, anybody have any items that they want to demo or bring up and chat through before we do this? Okay, fair enough, very good. As we get going, I think Chaim has joined us after dropping off the kids, I suspect, at school. So thanks for coming, Chaim. Chaim's the main, thank you. Yeah. Guys, if you don't, Chaim, we went through and did a bunch of introductions earlier, but I want to make sure that people, know who you are and what Octarine is. And so actually, do you want to give a quick intro?
Sure. So, hi everybody. I'm Chaim Hellman. I'm the CTO of Octarine, and we're building a runtime security solution for Kubernetes that's based on a service mesh approach, leveraging Envoy as our data plane. And I've recently added the Octarine adapter to Meshery, and working on finalizing the last few bits.
And I also gave some inside insight to each of the individuals that are introduced. And so I guess, for Chaim, so that his evil scheme here is that he will have landed in a stable release of the Octarine adapter a little in advance of KubeCon, and so he's gonna have that in his back pocket when he goes to KubeCon. It'll be good.
That is my scheme.
Nice. Great. Well, you know what? So this is probably not going to be horrifically well understood for some of those that have just joined, but Chaim's adapter is unique from some of the other ones in the way in which it works. So it's an interesting one. It may not be the only one that functions in this way for long, and I won't describe how that works, but other than, because people can follow, please do follow up with Chaim, but we'll say that recently there's a new repository that's been created, and it's for an app mesh adapter. So for AWS app mesh. There isn't necessarily currently a name tagged to that. So that's a big challenge. I'm laying down the gauntlet here. For those that might know Vanil Naranha, who's an open source engineer at VMware, he might pick it up, but that doesn't mean he wouldn't need collaboration and assistance from others. So that's that. Okay. Let's jump into anybody else have anything else to demo before we do just kind of a general demo of Meshery itself? Okay, good. All right. Let me go back to the chat real quick. Okay, good. Let me also confirm that I'm running the latest version of Meshery. So a couple of things to note. Wait a second. I thought I was sharing my terminal. Let me do that for you. For as good of software as Google makes, you'd think that they would let you share multiple applications at the same time rather than just one app or the whole screen. All right, so for those that are fresh to Meshery, right now, we're in a bit of a limbo state where there's a bash script that lets you interact with Meshery, and it's called Meshery, is the name of the script. When you run the 3 commands to install Meshery, you'll get this bash script, and the script itself just takes a handful of arguments. In my case, I'm running Docker locally I'm on an iMac, and so I'm just running Docker locally here. Meshery is not running. I'm going to just perform a quick task of sort of flushing my config and making sure that my Docker compose file, that my Meshery configuration is cleaned up. And Meshery itself, when you run it locally on Docker, it runs as a Docker compose application. When you run it on Kubernetes, it runs different. It runs as a deployment. It runs differently. Same software, but differently. And so now that we've done that, I'll go ahead and start Meshery. And one of the things that some of you are already aware that if you're on Mac OS, once Meshery has started, the script, the CLI will automatically launch your browser and point it to localhost. So let me reshare the screen. And I know that right now, Subham is wanting to say something. He's wanting to say that that's true. Meshery will launch your default browser if you're on macOS, but he just landed a PR that also, exactly, beautiful. And Nuno's actually calling it out. And Nuno, good news, Subham landed an enhancement recently in Meshery CTL that uses exactly what you just said. It uses xdg-open to open up the default browser on Linux hosts, Linux VMs. So Nuno, you're going to have to QA this for Subum because quite literally the PR is merged, and for my part, I haven't verified.
Okay, gladly. I didn't try out yet Meshery CTL, so I will have to first install it and play around with it a little bit. But gladly, like the XDG open, and from WSL, of course, you need to point out to a browser, maybe better, let's say, Windows browser. Like I installed Firefox into C Firefox, for example. So my browser variable will be like mnt c and firefox.exe. Or you could go, of course, the full X window. But yeah, I like the interrupting of WSL. But that was just parentheses. But great for the XDG open.
No, thanks. No, this is good. That kind of feedback is exactly what we need. Because as a matter of fact, Nuno, we didn't necessarily know offhand which command to use to do that. So I'm pleased to hear you call that one out specifically because that's the one that we chose. And Subum will be more than anxious to receive your feedback too. So, Garish, before I go through this demo, I realize you've got some development in flight. Is that at a place by which you might be able to share some of the latest user experience developments?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, yeah, let me stop sharing and if you would take the ball.
Sure.
I'm
going to start presenting.
Did anyone catch me saying take the ball? Is it obvious that I worked at Cisco for 6 years and use WebEx every day, all day? Okay.
All right. I hope you guys can see my screen.
Yep.
So if you guys can see my screen, now some of the new visual changes, these are still in flight. They're not yet landed into the master branch. So the first thing is we got rid of the check mark, which used to be here and here. So the reason is we just thought it'll be uniform for now. Again, these things are going to be iteratively improved. So for now, what we have done is got rid of the check mark, but the other capabilities are still in place. Like for example, just give me 1 second. Since this is a dev server, it's pretty slow. And yeah, I have quite a bit running. Okay, so now the adapter is connected. So if you click on the adapter, it'll actually do a ping, so you can actually see the ping succeeded. So the same behavior is here, just for the adapters. It will not work for Kubernetes. So I'm clicking on the Kubernetes, it doesn't do anything. But clicking on the adapters will actually ping it. So there is an adapter which is not connected. So if I click on it, you can see the ping error. Now, one of the visual changes, which is kind of a rework of our management interface, plus the navigation menu here, is that when we load by default, management will actually be submenued with the different adapter types. And as and when we connect adapters, they will actually automatically get listed here. So for example, so if I go back and then remove the adapter, you will see the adapter from the menu is gone as well. This is again so what we're trying to do is we're trying to actually give better visibility to the adapter. Sorry, I think that server crashed. That happens. Sorry. So that's one of the first changes. The other changes, while I have the UI, is the results has been moved under the performance section. But other than that change, with respect to the functionality, there is no difference. So if you click on results, you will continue to see the same experience. Now, but under management, you can see these are our menus, but at the moment, I do not have the functionality to get them to work when you click. And then again, if you click on management, you will see it'll actually show the configure playground. So you can go to the playground. Again, I'm going to try to connect the adapter. Once the adapter is connected, you will see this show up here again under the STL. So if a Linkerd adapter is connected, you will see it under the Linkerd submenu, and the same for console. Octarine NSM, once they are up, we will actually have them listed here as well. Now, the other thing that changed is the default management screen. So if you click on management screen, earlier, we had this expansion panel, where, all the adapters had their own panels. Now, what we have done is, we actually changed it with this kind of an interface. Again, please mind, what I'm showing is still like a work in progress. So, you might see some glitches. So the plan is that once at least one adapter is connected, this screen will be presented. Now, this is kind of the overall management screen. You can see the management highlighted, not the sub-menu item. So the management is highlighted, which means here, if you have 3 or 4 adapters connected, or maybe, I don't know, n number of adapters connected, they'll all show up here. You can select on the adapter, and the appropriate adapter page will actually show up here. Now, if I click on the specific adapters page, you will just be presented with that adapters section, which is the adapter URL, which will be preloaded. You can also see it at the top. And then the rest is actually kind of a restructuring of information on the page slightly to actually make it much more usable, much more better. So the first one here is our namespace. Obviously, people who have used Meshery know what this is. This is a Kubernetes namespace into which usually an operation is performed. Now, the other thing we have done is earlier the operations all had a plus and a trash icon right next to them, or an apply and a trash icon right next to them. So in order to improve the UX, we are trying to move towards this kind of an interface where each and everything is a card. Now, these cards are actually based on the category. So that in where every operation will be associated with the category. So right now at the moment, we have 5 categories. Install, sample application, configure, validate, custom config. Now, we do understand that not every adapter is going to have all the different types of all the categories. So this page is dynamic in the sense only the categories which are relevant to that one adapter will be shown. So which means if, for example, Linkerd or console does not have a way to validate at the moment, this section would not even show up. The validate section wouldn't even show up. Now, the other thing is that so the plus is for installing. And the same thing. So plus is literally for applying it on the cluster. The trash will actually show the same list of options as the plus. So, for example, the sample application we have HTTP bin and the book info. The same thing for the trash. The difference is the plus will actually do an apply, and the trash will actually remove it from the cluster. So we have the same behavior for install, the same behavior for configure. Now the only thing is the validate. In the case with validate, it's usually, at least from what we've seen, is not something that gets deployed on the cluster, but rather in the case with Istio wet, which is used for Istio, we actually run wet as a library in the adapter. So which means that it does not deploy anything on the cluster, but rather it actually triggers a bunch of requests to the cluster from the Istio adapter and gets the results. So this pretty much does the same thing. With respect to the background functionality, nothing has changed, which means when we apply an operation, you will immediately see a response which will say that it's accepted, and then in the next few minutes you will see what really happened to the operation, whether it was a success or a failure, right in the notification section. So that part has not changed, but we might be making some minor changes here and there to actually make the UX better. So this is kind of one of the major changes. And you can see I've tried to stick the logo here and here, and I've tried to clean it up. So you can actually have n number of Istio adapters, n number of Linkerd adapters, and console, and so on and so forth. So which means so you will just see items added as a sub menu under Istio or Linkerd or console or Octane or NSM, etc. So this is one of the major UI changes based on some UX we came up with. So that's pretty much it. Ali, anything else you want me to actually talk about in particular?
Let me turn that question around to the rest of the. This is great. To the rest of the folks on the call, who's got questions, or who sees things that need improvement? Clearly.
So, excuse me.
Yep.
Can I ask one question?
Please.
Hello. Yeah. So I was asking that when you have not added anything in the cluster, right? Right now you have not added anything in the clusters. Still, it's showing that you can delete. You can delete the same that whatever you were showing. Can you click on that? Can you click on sample? Yeah. Yeah. And if you click on HTTP bin app.
Right.
No, don't add anything. Don't add anything. Just click on delete. What will it do?
So if the HTTP bin is deployed in the given namespace, it will actually uninstall it. I mean, it'll remove it from the cluster.
And if you did, you haven't installed anything in the cluster, right? Right now
Right.
you haven't installed anything in the cluster. Still, it's showing HTTP bin app.
Right.
I think it should be. I
Right.
think it should be removed.
Right.
When you when you
Absolutely.
install. Yeah.
You know what? That's a very good point. We do have that actually in our backlog to actually get to it, because now in order to incorporate what you actually have, what you just said, we need to add a little more intelligence in Meshery so that it can actually go right when a cluster is connected. Meshery would actually it can scan the cluster, understand what's already deployed there, and then accordingly we can actually make changes in the UI to kind of respect what is already in the cluster. Absolutely. I mean, at the moment we are not there, but definitely we have that in our backlog, and you know what, that's a very good point. And yes, that's definitely in our backlog for sure. So in I would say in future, one of us. I mean, when I say one of us, it's not me. I mean, I'm just saying that this, since this is an open source project, it'll be great if someone else or we can all collaborate and get all those pieces together, because that's going to be kind of an interesting effort, because that's going to require some real back end work, in order to kind of some Kubernetes skills to actually understand what's in the cluster, kind of maintain a catalog of what applications are deployed, what service meshes are deployed, configurations, etc. I mean, all this put together. So essentially, Meshery needs to get some background knowledge on the cluster, based on which it can actually show some intelligent choices in the UI. Absolutely. I mean, yeah. At the moment, we don't have it, which is the reason why, we have to do what we're doing here. So yeah.
Yeah, just
that's what I was saying.
Yeah, sorry, Das. Go ahead. Okay, I'll take it quickly. Just the point that we saw weekly, the time that we tested on my side. When is the service meshes installed? Because when you click install the service mesh, okay, and then you publish the service mesh, then my what I did was okay, now I want to install the app. But for example, some of them, I think it was EC, of course, but some of them were not fully deployed yet. And then on my my question was is it possible to, I don't know, have this check mark or something like that when the service mesh itself is deployed, and finally we can install the applications on top of it? Does it make sense?
Absolutely. I mean, that's a very sensible question. And yes, I mean, yeah, which makes perfect sense, right? I mean, so after deploying the mesh, it'll be nice to have some kind of a validation in place, so that we can ensure that not just the installation is going to be made easy with Meshery, but also the validation part, which ensures that the mesh, or I mean, this applies not just to installation of a mesh, but also the sample application or any other thing that's done through Meshery, that it can actually validate that it indeed got deployed, and it's accessible at a certain endpoint, etc. I mean, definitely. I mean, that's a very good suggestion. I think I think it'll be nice to actually create an issue in Meshery to actually maybe track that as well, because the other thing of first initially tracking what is going on in Meshery, for example, you could have click this one first, then clicked on sample application the next, and then the configure, and then validate, and then custom config, etc. So we do plan to have some components built in the direction of what I just mentioned. One of the first things is I think we have a plan to actually create an activity tracker or something along those lines, which will actually keep track of what operations are being done by Meshery on your cluster. The next thing is actually the ability to kind of have some background knowledge to understand what's already in the cluster. So I mean, these two, I would say would be related to some extent, but definitely some very interesting things to have. And then the next thing, of course, is kind of related to these. As a next step would be to kind of also incorporate the validation right after an operation is executed. That will also be very valuable. Absolutely, great tip, man. Thank you.
Super, thank you. And okay, now I'm off to the train, so have fun. And okay, so talk to you very soon.
Very
Yeah.
good.
Bye.
Have a great weekend. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Nuno.
Bye bye.
All right.
Yes.
Good. Yep. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I mean, any other questions?
Good job, Grish. That's really like that we can now use multiple STO adapters. That's really nice.
Yep. Awesome.
Because usually what happens, we have like several clusters. I think that's good to have all in one.
Yeah. Hello, Chris. I had a question. Can you please open up the docs page in the Meshery domain, meshery.player.io/docs?
Yes.
Clear your cache.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is that when we open site localhost, the docs and the navigation menu, they all come the proper way. But when it is deployed on the site, it is not actually the way it's on the localhost.
So on the local it works, but when it's deployed, it's not working. Is that what your point is?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, unfortunately I don't have the answer to that off the top of my head, but I think it'll be worth doing some debugging. Maybe we can actually have, if you're available, we can have a breakout session after this call and see if we can actually debug this and see if we can get it to work. Is that okay?
Okay, sir. Can we have the session tomorrow? And the session tomorrow.
I mean, you want to have the session tomorrow?
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Yeah. And this really shouldn't be anything that Nikhil is doing. This should just be something that Jekyll isn't being built or something. So very good. So we're right at the top of the hour. I know some folks need to go. So Jorge, thanks for coming. We'll talk soon.
See you guys.
Yeah, and then I guess for the rest, anyone else have any last minute comments or questions? Oh, very good. Thank you, Subham. Yeah, I'm hoping that this was helpful to folks to just kind of get a dump of what the project is. As a matter of fact, there's a couple of areas that I don't think were necessarily demoed. One being sending over custom YAML to configure your mesh. Another one being loading up a custom Grafana dashboard, through, and then having Prometheus query those metrics, and just there's actually a fair bit in the project, and I'm actually myself surprised. And so that's why there's an effort and a focus to refine the UI to bubble up a lot of that functionality, because it was fairly well buried. So please, all opinions are valid, as you guys go to interact with the tool, express your opinions freely as you do. Very good. Asako, any last comments or?
Yeah, I just want to emphasize for the newcomers, that's really perfectly stacked from, even if you want to do front end, it's in React, backend in Go, and using Kubernetes, Docker, Istio, which is on high in California, and most of the startups coming using, and that's really good experience that you want to get if you trying to get to one of these startups or you are already there. That's really valuable experience. That's really, just want to emphasize it. That's
nice. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, beautiful. It's a good, and as a matter of fact, there's a couple of pieces of work that probably fall under a DevOps category, if you will. There's a couple of things about, actually we're slightly over time, but I'll say very briefly, there's some anonymous statistics that are collected through Meshery and sent back to an AWS free tier account. The purpose of that is to then, at a future date, publish back to the world all of the various statistics and performance overhead that service meshes have. So there's some DevOps work in there as well, is my point. Okay, very good. All right. As a matter of fact, I will, so sorry to cut you off, Sako. I want to make sure, good. All right, good. Happy to see all the newcomers. We will Slack and do more Slack. We'll see you, all of you, in a week.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thanks
all.
all.
Nice weekend, guys.
See you later, Sako. Bye, Girish.
See you later. Bye-bye. Bye, Lee.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Lee.
See you guys.
Bye, Harshini.
See.